And I'm here with Amos Hochstein. He's with Tellurian. Amos, talk to us a little bit about the life and longevity of this symposium. You've been coming over the years, and indeed you've come here, with different job titles, perhaps working for, different organizations. How valuable has the evolution of this dialogue, the symposium, actually been? And what does it mean, I think, in terms of different times to different people?
Well, it's been, first of all, it's exciting to come for the 10-year anniversary. It's really quite a remarkable achievement. I've been coming to the IEF in different formats for most of those 10 years, probably for 9 out of the 10 years. And I've seen the IEF through different prisms. I was in the Obama administration, coming here as a government official, and then transitioned to the private sector and came here now as Tellurian, where it was an LNG company looking at them from the market perspective. So it's really been quite remarkable to have that experience with the IEF, which has been a very helpful organization to understand the different dynamics of the market. And the cooperation with OPEC and with the IEA and the IEF, having this kind of a dialogue is remarkable and unique.
And again, we look at the expansion of this dialogue. We've seen a lot of other people come in. And again, particularly industry now that you're here representing Tellurian. Many other private companies are here. So it's IOCs, NOCs, the diversity of the dialogue. Do you think this has helped in terms of the transparency and actually just the quality of the conversation as well?
Well, I think it's critical for the market participants to have a conversation with each other. And I think we have a lot of organizations where governments get to talk to other governments, or where private sector gets to talk to even to the government. But having the ability to have the leading think tanks, the most important government officials, and the private sector and the market are where all market participants are there, that is what is so critically helpful, to be able to hear those different perspectives. Not everybody agrees. Not everybody understands the market and projects the market in the same way, but everybody wants to hear what the other perspectives are, because everybody knows that whatever they believe are the trends are not necessarily what's going to happen. So it's important to have a high-level discussion with like-minded people across a variety of topics that concern the energy market and its transition. And in this time that we are in today, where we're in flux, where we all know we're in a transition, but we don't know quite how this transition is going to play out, over how many years and in what format. To be able to have that conversation between smart, intelligent people and knowledgeable people has been a real benefit to me personally, and I think to the market. And the only place that can happen really is here at the IEF.
Indeed, I think it's absolutely vital. Talk to us also, though, about that energy transition. There's not a time frame on it. Nobody has the crystal ball. But when we look at the outlooks, I think they both agree when they're looking into the future that, fossil fuel will be here to stay for many years to come here. And again, it's not going to be right across the power sector. It's not going to fuel everything, but it will shift itself, even within the areas, transportation, whatever. Where do you see the majority of oil and gas looking? And I guess we're seeing more gas than ever before.
Yes, I think the conversation about the transition has to move from an emotional one and a goal-oriented one towards a fact-based, information-based, and technology-based one. Where are we actually going, and how will we achieve the goals? It's going to take longer to achieve the transitions that we all hope for. I truly believe that natural gas is going to play a far greater role in the transition. We're going to see a major increase in natural gas, because it can become a baseload power for renewables. And as for growing economies that are moving away from coal, the easier transition is from coal to gas and renewables. And we are already seeing that today, where we discussed today here at the IEF about the transition from coal in Europe just in the last year or so, where a lot of that coal was gobbled up by or fed by gas and renewables, almost 50-50. We're also seeing transition from nuclear power in some places. That has to be replaced by natural gas as the only available resource that can be a baseload power with renewables. So I think the future is probably looking at a slower rate of growth for oil, and probably a smaller percentage of oil in the overall energy mix, and an increasing in natural gas in the energy mix globally.
And where do you see going forward the role of the International Energy Forum? They're looking more towards that circular economy. There's a lot more input coming from the energy ministry here in Saudi Arabia, a lot more interest from the US in the International Energy Forum. So it's all very exciting and a dynamic time. But where do you see the role of the IEF and its relevance and its importance going further?
Well, I think the IEF is clearly in a surge of its importance and relevance in this conversation. We are past the conversation of the last few years where transition was going to be immediate. We're just going to keep it all on the ground and we're going to go to all renewables. That is not going to happen. We're going to have the oil and gas industry is here to stay for several decades, and the renewable industry is going to grow by leaps and bounds. That we all know. Exactly how that's going to work, we don't. And therefore, the IEF critically placed in Saudi Arabia to have this conversation here. And I think the fact that the incoming executive director is going to be an American indicates the great importance that the United States now sees in the IEF. And I would say even further that the fact that we're transitioning from a Chinese representative as the head of the IEF to an American representative of the IEF really demonstrates that link between East and West on the supply side and the demand side. And the growth is going to be in China and in Southeast Asia and in India. The supply growth is going to be in the United States, and the supply stability is going to be here in the Middle East and the Gulf. So I think that really demonstrates the fact that we're anchored the IEF in Saudi Arabia with the Chinese and the Americans playing a major role in the IEF. You cannot plan it any better than that.